Hello, this is Fic Descriptor of the Film Fiction Writers Group. I'm joined by Gallade, Barrow, 6193 Chris, Colt Zero, Delta, Mike Marksman, Wes Fox, and Purple Prose. Today I will be reading chapters 7 through 9 of Letters from a Disgruntled Friendship Student. And if I load up the first one on the list, Chapter 7, Dragon Shy. Dear Princess Celestia, how the hell have you not been overthrown yet? A dragon decides to hibernate on one of the mountains near Ponyville, begins to fill the sky with smoke, and instead of sending an experienced team of guards or expert dragon convincers, you're sending me up there with the rest of my friends. First off, you're not technically my teacher anymore, and the only reason I decided to do this because I didn't want to be thrown into a dungeon in whatever place you end up banishing me to. Yeah, I'm one of the ponies who sees right through your tyranny. Secondly, why did we have to convince him to leave? Scouts reported he was sleeping in a cave. Well, get a couple of blocks of C4 and collapse the mouth to the cave. Dragon problem solved. Smoke problem solved, and every pony's happy. Seriously, that's a great idea. Why isn't there any C4 left from the war? Another thing, what is it exactly that Twilight and friends can do that a team of guards can't? Yeah, I came up with a name for this sad little group. I'm currently working on a jingle. Tell me what you think of these lyrics. Twilight is a unicorn from Celestia's nation, taking her friends up to their ends by a dragon alteration. Yeah, so it's been nice knowing you. Well, after convincing my friends that there's actually some chance of survival, they all went off to prepare for the journey up the mountain. Rainbow went and painted her face. Either she's partaking in a war ritual, or is hoping the dragon sees her as absolutely fabulous. Applejack packed apples for every pony's last meal. Rarity might have seen right through my lies because she just came back with a giant hat and saddlebag full of scarves. I guess she wants to die looking her best. I told Pinkie Pie to prepare an improvised explosive in a saddlebag. I got the idea from one of the books here in the library. It's something called Absolute Jihad, but the damn thing went off when she came out the door and she made it out of streamers. Fluttershy came back looking like she was trying out for a hoofball, and she's afraid of her own shadow. Pathetic. Well, before we even began our ascent, Fluttershy was intimidated by how tall the mountain is. Well, no fucking shit, Sureshy. It is a mountain, as Rainbow so dubiously pointed out. The dragon snored, and that just froze that quivering dumb shit up completely. As the lowest member of society in our group, I made Applejack drag her up the long way around so we'd have something to sacrifice in case we had to make a run for it. I'd sacrifice Pinkie, but I need her alive for now, and I hope her second suicidal bomb works. Actually, on the other hoof, the dragon eating Pinkie might not be such a bad idea. If the bomb was properly constructed, we could detonate it once she's in him. Problem solved. And if it doesn't go off, the amount of drugs in her system might actually kill him anyway. We met Applejack and Fluttershy halfway up the mountain, and Fluttershy came up against her next daunting obstacle. A 2-foot chasm. She should just fall and get it over with. And if she doesn't die, I'll just send Applejack down to drag her up again. Then, and you're not going to believe this, further up the mountain, a leaf falls on Fluttershy's back, and she freaks out and screams, causing an avalanche. Seriously, a fucking leaf. Don't worry, we all could have been crushed, but at least the leaf didn't harm Fluttershy. Am I getting hazard pay out of this? I fucking better be. Well, at the mouth of the cave, I wasn't going to put up with any more shenanigans, so I went in alone to confront the dragon. He just blew smoke in my face and told me to piss off. Kind of the way my dad ignored me as a filly. Then Rarity tried a little slutty charm, and well, you know how slutty and charming Rarity is, so that completely fucking failed. In another one of her drug-filled highs, Pinkie tried to party with the dragon, and then Rainbow just flew in and kicked him. I swear, Rainbow has no depth to her character whatsoever. As the dragon is about to put an end to our meaningless, troll-filled lives, Pinky must have slipped Fluttershy some crack or something, because she just completely fucking snapped. The dragon must have got some different stuff too, because he just cowered like a bitch when Fluttershy scolded him for falling asleep where he could harm other beings. Then he started to cry. Yep, crying. Pinky, what the fuck did you give him? So after he flies off, we made the journey back down the mountain, and Rainbow tried to set a record for the most ball bounces off her head. And this is a seriously freaking amazing ball. You have got to check it out sometime. Your skeptical student, Twilight Sparkle. On to the next chapter. Look before you sleep. Dear Princess Celestia, I've noticed something about Rainbow Dash. She loves napping on the job, in trees. As a matter of fact, she's been laying on so many tree branches that a group of ponies had to tear down all the loose branches before a severe thunderstorm hits. And we're having this severe thunderstorm to make up for the one day they missed last week. Last I checked, Rainbow runs the weather patrol around here. So they probably missed last week's rainfall because she was napping in yet another tree. So Rarity and Applejack went and helped some non-lazy ponies take down all those loose branches and that the lazy bitch had been sleeping on before they get snapped off in the winds of this upcoming storm. But Rarity thought she had to give each and every branch a spa treatment. Even if trees, or maybe just their branches, were sentient, I doubt they'd want their leaves to look like us. Especially when one of our kind has been sleeping on them. So we have a ditz who prettifies everything, and a redneck workaholic. Clearly, I knew they were going to get into a fight. Then it starts to rain. I stood there watching for a minute or two, then I called them in. I considered them leaving them to run home in the rain, but I kind of want to see if they'll fight for a few hours in a sleepover, and then we all end up sleeping with each other. I mean, come on. Snobby fashion designer and a simpleton who kicks trees for a living, that's bound to brew up some conflict. And from that conflict could potentially be a very sexy night. Thankfully, Rarity stopped Applejack from coming in with muddy hooves, or I would have had to do some bucking of my own. So, how did I come up with this sleepover idea? Simple. I was rounding up the worst books for my annual book bonfire when I came across one titled Slumber 101. Everything you wanted to know about sleepovers but were too afraid to ask. I thought to myself, wow, this isn't even good enough to burn, so why not torment my friends with it instead? Frustration build up and could be released via sexual urges. First up was makeovers. Not so much for me, but Rarity was certainly excited about it, and I figured if we put mud masks on, that's at least 5 minutes that I don't have to look at Rarity's hideous face. Then, during the ghost stories, they turned their stories into how they didn't like each other. Brilliant! It was working! So I decided to fuel the flames with a little truth or dare. Rarity forced Applejack to slut herself up a bit, and in return, Rarity got all wet. When they started yelling at each other, I knew the opportunity was at hand. It was pillow fight time. Pillow fights usually lead to sex. Sure enough, they went into it full force, and I got the brunt of the hits, and that really started to turn me on. So I suggested that we go up to bed. I decided for them to make the first move, so I pretended to sleep. But they wouldn't stop fighting. Soon they started shoving each other off the bed and began a tug of war with the blanket. Here I was, horny underneath the covers, and they weren't making any headway. I finally had enough and pointed out that in Slumber 101 that the most important point was fun, and I can't think of more fun than a threesome. I was just about to lay into them when the thunder and lightning got really bad. It struck a tree and it was leaning dangerously towards the house next door. Now me, I would have let it fall, but Applejack, all compassionate and hard-working, decided to try to tether the tree and in the process bring the whole damn thing crashing through my window. That absolutely killed the mood. While they managed to get the tree out of my bedroom and get everything cleaned up, I couldn't get horny again, so my sexcapades would have to wait for another night. Maybe I'll go after Rainbow Dash. I mean, she has to be into mares. Just look at that mane. Your sleep-deprived, sexually frustrated student, Twilight Sparkle.
Huh.
Now on. Oh, sorry, you were going to say something?
Funny.
Now on to
Yeah.
Chapter 9. Bridle Gossip. Dear Princess Celestia, today I tried teaching my other friends that being different isn't necessarily wrong, but the different beings have to try their best to blend in, and as long as they don't draw unnecessary attention to themselves, the master races and lowly peasants can get along just fine. Fax Machine and I started the day walking into the market square to find it completely deserted. Before I can figure out what's going on, Pinky drags us both into dark Sugar Cube Corner along with the rest of our friends. Our stupid, stupid friends. All hiding from a hooded figure out in the middle of the market. Seems their parents never told them that there are other species out there that we are inherently better than. I explained to them what a zebra is, and then Rarity kept fainting, and Pinky sang a song that she must have come up with during one of her highs. But I must admit, it sounded a lot better than her other songs. Applebloom decided to get a head start on chasing the unwanted creature out of town, and we went after her to make sure she wasn't kidnapped and raised the wrong way by her. Apparently, she goes by the name of Zecora, and once we chased her back into the Everfree Forest, we were satisfied. She should understand that this is Ponyville, not Pony Zebraville. The next morning, I awoke to quite the shock. My horn had erectile dysfunction. One by one, my friends showed up and showed us just what Zecora had done to us in the forest. In an apparent attempt to bring her culture to Ponyville, she had brainwashed Rarity into styling her mane to dreadlocks. Applejack can now fulfill her micro-fantasies. Strangely enough, Rainbow is flying better than ever. Pinky's drug abuse has finally hindered her speech, and she must have injected Fluttershy with one hell of a hit of testosterone, because damn that manly voice. Even I want to sleep with her now. We immediately decided to go teach that meddling zebra a lesson. We formed a lynch mob and set off into the forest. Applebloom, ever the overachiever, went on ahead. After we momentarily became separated, Applejack role-played a micro-session with Rainbow while Pinky began beatboxing with Fluttershy, rapping about a fuck shit stack or something. After crashing into Zecora's hut, we reached a compromise. She would create the remedy for the curse she put on us, and in return, we wouldn't lynch her. She also claimed she wasn't a Zegro, but an African equestrian. Whatever. Your racist former student, Twilight Sparkle.
Oh my